sin, but he sees it all. Your prideful heart will be your fall. Blood on your hands like eyes on your tongue. The Lord abhors the evil you've done. You claim his name, but love deceit. He tests the righteous, hates the cheat. God hates everything about you, every wicked thing you do. Why do you love your sin so much? Don't you know his wrath is just? Don't you know his wrath is just? Seven things he says he despises: haughty eyes and schemes of violence, false witness spreading lies and strife. He hates the one corrupting life. The foolish will not stand near his throne. His holy fire makes judgment known. Psalm 11, the truth is clear. The soul that loves violence, he won't draw near. God hates everything about you, every wicked path you choose. Why do you war against his truth? Don't you know his wrath is due? Don't you know his wrath is due? The Lord is righteous, the wicked fall. He hates your sin, he's warning all. Turn and repent before it's too late, or face the fury of his God hates everything about you, every wicked thing you do. Why do you love your sin so much? Don't you know his wrath is just? Wrath is
All right. Hey guys, how are you? I'm not even going to any monologue at all. I'm just going to bring Katie and I'm going to bring Casey in, and then I'm going to let them do their thing. And let me put myself, there we go. And okay, guys, can you guys all hear me?
Yeah. Great
Casey,
to be
can you hear
here.
me?
Can hear you good.
Okay. So I'm just going to let you guys go ahead. You guys remember Casey, he was on here and he gave his story about what happened with a coach back, I guess it was a couple of years ago now when you were on. and everybody knows Katie. So go ahead, guys. I'll let you give an update what's going on. If you want to rehash, Casey, real quick, what happened, just a quick overview of why we got here, and then we'll let you guys go ahead and do your update.
Awesome. Thank you. Go ahead, Casey. Or do you want me to do a quick recap and you can fill in the gaps?
No, the whole reason why we're here is we're trying to save kids' lives. I was molested as a freshman, and it happened to my freshman year in college as a freshman in junior high. I was molested by Brent McGee, who finally was arrested August 21st, 2024. So we have about 7 kids now that have come forward, and we are trying to get the word out so therefore we can save more kids and let everybody understand it just doesn't happen in one school. It's happening across the state and across the U.S. So anybody that we can save, it's well worth the story.
Okay. And I would say, just to give your listeners and viewers a little recap of what we're talking about, a gentleman named Brent McGee is a 30-year-plus pedophile who was in the public school system in Wetumpka, Oklahoma. That's in Hughes County, Oklahoma. Normally, a journalist would faithfully use the term accused pedophile, but in this case, Mr. McGee was twice recorded confessing to the molestation of both Casey and additional boys through the years. So we can talk about him in his own words as a confessed pedophile. Casey's been fighting this battle, trying to bring this to light and to justice, really with nothing to gain for himself, everything to lose, and just to protect children. Since 2020, he and I connected. I heard his story. He put his story out on Facebook Live, and I was really stunned as a journalist by the honesty and sort of the desperation he had in not being able to get people to do anything about this. So Brent McGee, he was in a town called Noble when he first met Casey in junior high, but then not long after that moved to Wetumpka, where he's from. He was a coach. He was a teacher. He was the alternative education director, all by himself out in a private building with access to the most vulnerable boys in their community. He was the mayor of that small town, and for a time, a city councilman. He had tremendous access to children and tremendous power of protection in the community. And probably the most shocking of all, his wife, Donna McGee, was the longtime superintendent of that school district. So she gave him access to these students and complete protection as the accusations would come up over the years. So he was never brought to justice because of Casey, and Casey getting his story out there and being absolutely relentless and sharing his story with me. After I heard his story on Facebook, I said, I've got to tell this man's story. He's really trying to do something great. So we did that. I've been writing about this since October of 2023. The FBI actually went to the school because of Casey's work and started their investigation and notified the school district that he had to step down in August of 2022. So we're talking 3 years ago. This man is still out there and has access to children on a daily basis. The state school board under Ryan Walters suspended his certifications when Casey came and talked directly to the school board a year after the FBI visit in October of 2023. So actually, our state superintendent took action before anyone locally took action in this case. Then yet another year went by and a civil suit was filed. So as the story was coming out, young victims were coming forward, particularly to Casey. He became the center of this and the support for these young men to be courageous enough to come forward and fight this. And there was a civil case filed in August of 2024 because Oklahoma has some wonky laws that do not protect kids. You have to be 19 or younger to bring a case against a school system for failing to protect you. So finally, 2 victims young enough did that. And then finally, 2 weeks after that, he was arrested in August of 2024. Now, Casey, you can tell them a little bit about what's gone on since then, because you would think now we have justice, but it's been a struggle.
Well, I would kind of delightfully go back and say since November 28th of 2020 was the first time I was recording with my own devices. And that's 1,767 days ago. Went basically 2 years with door shut, getting called everything you could in the book, slandered for 700 days because no one would believe me because they thought he was the pillar of the community. And that's what Brent and Donna portrayed me to be, as some lying lunatic that was just trying to get money from the McGees. And that's not the case here. So where we are now, we have a preliminary hearing October 9th at 1:30 p.m. at Hughes County Courthouse. I would love everybody to be there to support the young survivors there. I've started a new job. I have a job with the University of Oklahoma Police Department. And I guess it's a really quick story real quick that, this is really, truly God working miracles because us and a few other cadets, we went and ate at Rudy's. And I ran into a gentleman at the cashier, and he put his finger back and forth, and he was like, "Do I know you?" And I was like, and this was less than 2 weeks ago. And I said, "I don't know." I said, "Where are you from?" And he said, "Are you from Wetumpka?" And I said, "No." And what's crazy, what drew this out of me, I was like, "No," but I was molested by the guy who owned Wetumpka and who was the mayor of Wetumpka. And this kid said, "Me too." And so
last week, correct?
The week before, last week.
Mm-hmm.
So I spoke with him, told him I believed him, automatically loved him as a brother. You could tell he thought he saw a ghost because he was like, "No one has ever believed me, ever." And my hat goes off to him. I mean, the poor kid has had a rough life. And he's given me the permission to go ahead and talk about him. And I'm going to read a text message that he sent me the day that I left, because I gave him my phone number. His name is Zach Gibbs, and he is a truly awesome guy who was molested at a young age and was not believed when he told his story. And this is what he texted me. He said, "Praise God. This means more than you know, man. I was only in the 6th grade whenever it started. And up until the summer before my freshman year in Wetumpka schools, Miss McGee had my father wrapped around her finger, who had been the minister for the Assembly of God here in Oklahoma my whole life. He was the minister at Wetumpka First Assembly of God from 2000 to 2010. Thankfully, we moved to Kearney the summer of 2010, where he is a pastor now. I've struggled about how many years I've had to go through this with nobody believing me. Anything I can do to help make sure he's not getting away with this and what he's done to me and others, and God bless you." Last week, out of the blue, completely stunned.
Yeah, he wasn't even close to Wetumpka. It was in a completely different part of the state, and ran into this young man who just happened to casually recognizing him, having no idea. I mean, that's God.
Absolutely. So bless this young man's heart. And he said in 6th grade, Brent started when I was grooming me when I was a freshman. One of the other survivors who came forward, who's older than I am, Brent started molesting him at 13. You're talking 6th, 7th grade one is 6th grade and the other is 7th grade. And I know another victim who's come forward, who's Justin. He has, he was about 13, 14 years old, started with Justin.
And Casey, I see Justin in the chat. Justin, yep.
Justin's on.
Bravely shared his story with me. It's on our publication too. He's a great, great young man.
He's one of the victims who came forward. Now, what we're waiting on is we're still waiting on charges for Justin's case. We believe in due time there should be some more charges that do come. We would just like Mr. Eric Johnson, the district attorney, to do right by this. And, you know, there's a lot of things that we don't think have went right, and some things that have gone right. But we're just trying to see justice served in the right way. And that's all we ask for is the support, because this has gone on for over 40 years. You're right, Justin, over 40 years. 40
years. And Casey, do we want to talk about some of those things that are going on in the case specifically? I think it's important for viewers.
Well, I also want people to remember this. He owns a Dairy Queen where children work. Typically, teenagers work there, sometimes their first jobs, and he's still working there. And I have the DA Eric Johnson's phone number scrolling at the bottom of this video. So every single person watching, and the view count is going up, 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 needs to call him and find out why Brent McGee is still allowed to work at the Dairy Queen when he's out on bond and not supposed to be near children.
And
he violated his own bond, and he's still
out.
Everybody knows it. Everybody does.
Everybody does.
They've reached out. They've sent pictures. There's been zero investigation into Brent McGee working at the Dairy Queen. And everybody sees it every day. Say it again.
Who's the one that issued his bond? Because that bondsman needs to know too.
Well, that's a whole nother story.
Oh, well, why? And just for the sake of our mirror, this guy was able to get away with this for so long. And Casey, it was funny because you remember when he got arrested, the sheriff had put out a statement because we had done this type of video and told everybody to call. And then he said it was just coincidental that he arrested him the day after. Well, why are they kind of, and again, if I'm wrong on this, guys, correct me, but it seems like they're dragging their feet, delaying this out. And I told Katie this, my opinion is that I think they're doing this to try to get a plea deal. That's my opinion. That's what I think they're doing. Why would they do that to a pedophile in this case?
Well,
Who is he?
I think we have a pretty classic case. We see this a lot in Oklahoma of rural corruption, where in these rural towns, there's just a few people that control everything. And this man did. He had control of the school system through his wife, control of the town through his mayorship. So imagine someone that's been a city council and a mayor. The police department answers to them. So he really had everything wrapped up, and he had the town so snowed that he was such a great guy. If a teenage boy was in need, they moved him right into their house, which was the scene of a lot of this abuse for a lot of these boys. But he came off looking as sort of like the savior of these kids. This couple did. And that's what happens. Not only are the victims groomed, the entire school system and town were groomed. And I will tell you, Casey took the brunt of that. They attacked him as though he could not possibly be a bigger liar because he was the first one out and he was relentless. But when Justin, who's with us tonight, when his story came out, that's when we started to see, and that the different boys started to come forward, especially when Justin's piled on there just at the right time. The town began to be ungroomed. They started to see, they started to listen. For goodness sakes, the first time I published Casey's story, we published the audio recording of Casey with him and him admitting that he'd abused Casey. And still the town was really, would you say, Casey, mostly against you?
100% against me. I mean, I wouldn't say 100. There was a few people that knew me for sure. But they said the audio was doctored.
And what they don't understand is the reason they said that is because you were in a truck and you can hear the truck in the background. So they assumed, because I couldn't pull that sound out. I tried, but that's why.
And so with that recording, I was luckily enough able to, once I got hired as a PE coach and teacher, I was able to convince Brent to be a mentor. And the FBI hooked me up to an audio device and a video device. And when I recorded Brent for 3.5 hours in my vehicle, there were 2 FBI agents behind me witnessing this whole thing. And he admitted to everything like an alcoholic would do at Alcoholics Anonymous, and portrayed it all out on the line because he wanted to be my mentor and be back in my life to make that happen. So he sang like a bird. And then at the end of the day, the statute of limitations, since I was already 45, is what nailed me again, that we couldn't go forward.
Well, and there were, just like we see in a lot of cases, when things first come forward, all of these different agencies are willing to pile on when it's, wow, we got them, right? And then they start to peel off when the hard work comes. So when Casey first became involved with this, the FBI was involved, the OSBI was involved, the sheriff's department there was involved, and the tribal Light Horse Police were touching this case. Well, with all of the McGirt fallout, we had a big Supreme Court decision that confused who has jurisdiction in Oklahoma. So then the FBI, after they started doing their work, they peeled off as those things were being clarified. The OSBI, I don't know, they just checked out on this case. We don't know what happened to them. And then they're left only with local law enforcement. And citizens of this town have told me and reported to me multiple times that there are massive conflicts of interest between the sheriff's department and the perpetrator and his wife, even to the extent that that the perpetrator's brother was in the wedding party of the sheriff when she got married. So we have these personal relationships and protecting going on here. So when the case originally sort of came up, they didn't collect any of the evidence at any of the places that you would think. So we know abuse happened in the home.
Look at the comment down below.
Out of the 6 victims, survivors that came forward, 5 victims were molested in that house, the same house they live in today. And there was not a search warrant given on that house.
No, matter of fact, Justin said, do we need to mention that he had roll-off dumpsters at his house without his house being touched? And Sheila Armstrong said, and I have the comment showing on the screen, Brent and Donna completely gutted and remodeled their house, and the police did nothing to stop it or even search the home.
They had 2 40-foot containers. One emptied, brought in another one, emptied another one, and was told that they could not be searched because it was on private property. That was after their first court date. So we actually, I actually published photos of those dumpsters at the house. And the crazy thing is the timing of different citizens so concerned about kids that they were taking pictures of these things and saying, wait a minute, it was immediately after his arrest. Even after his arrest, they allowed them to dumpster potential evidence. They did not search the Dairy Queen. They did not search the house. They did not search his classroom within Wetumpka Public Schools or her office within Wetumpka Public Schools, all the places you think that they might store something, some evidence in this case. And then, interestingly enough, one of the big delays in the court part of this case is about his cell phone. So Brent McGee's cell phone, which was one electronic device they got because it was on him when they arrested him, is locked. And he refused to give the passcode to the court, even though he was ordered to give the passcode. And it started, we're at almost a 1-year delay over this cell phone. At one point, his attorney asked for a mediator that would decide what evidence off the cell phone could be admitted before he would ever give the passcode, which is amazing. I mean, you would think that they'd be throwing him in contempt of court and putting him in a jail cell, but that's not what's happening. The mediator became a judge who's now been found to be conflicted. So we have all of this big mess of delays and hiding of evidence that no one seems to want to take seriously. And I really feel like the bond issue is one of the most damning pieces of evidence as far as corruption is concerned. So he was ordered
not to be near children. And the publication's email box is being filled up with, they just gave free ice cream coupons to all of the kids in the whatever grade at Wetumpka schools for their reading. So these kids are going every day to Dairy Queen where he is. These people are working at Dairy Queen. He has access to minors every single day at work. And that they are all saying they've notified the appropriate people and no one wants to do anything about it.
And the thing is, why? Well, I mean, has anybody contacted corporate Dairy Queen about this?
Yes,
Absolutely.
And what did they say?
Nothing. They will
They'll
not
look
talk
into
about
it.
Because I know when I emailed them, I got no response.
They would give no response to media at all. They were not willing to talk about it or even acknowledge that the request was made.
Got hung up on.
Yes, they're not going to talk about it. And you have to understand that his bond was actually lowered based on lies to the court. So when he was first arrested, the day after he was arrested, he gave a list of 10 character witnesses to the court and said, these people will vouch for me. I'm not a high flight risk. I'm a good citizen. Give me a lower bond. So he was given this lower bond. Well, one of those people walked up to Casey and Justin, two of the survivors here outside of court, and said, I never gave permission to be on that list. Another one contacted me and said, I never gave permission to be on that list. So that list was a falsity. And then they claimed that they didn't own their home and that they couldn't put that up for collateral. I looked into court records, into county records. And yes, 2004, that home was deeded over from Brent's parents to Brent and Donna McGee for $84,000. They do own that home. But no one at the court even bothered to check these lies before they made all these concessions for him. They even hid the amount in the open records request. They hid the amount that he actually paid. He was to pay $25,000 and they put a paper over that when they photocopied it. We found out later he paid $17,000. So the concessions have all been to the benefit of the defendant in this case. So it's hard to think that he's not getting massive favoritism.
His bond actually started out at $350,000.
Correct.
And then his concessions of the people supposedly giving a good name for Brent McGee, they dropped it to $25,000. And then somehow it was getting marked through and it got dropped down to $17,000.
Kind of reminds me of the Josh Bell thing where all those celebrities went up there to vouch for the pedophile. Even though these people are saying, because I remember that, no, they do nothing about this. And again, so wouldn't that be perjury on top of the other? Wouldn't that also make him forfeit his bond as well?
You would think.
I would believe so.
You'd think,
it's perjury.
Right?
You would think.
Right.
So, and this is why now things have changed so much because of these brave men that have come forward. Now there's a crowd at every single hearing. This town knows what happened. More and more victims have come forward and they are there for hearings and they are crowding the hearings. So that's a wonderful thing. It would be great to have as much support as possible for these young men.
So,
and Casey, what happened to you the last time you were in court? What almost happened to you the last time you were in court?
What almost happened to me? Well, at one of the court dates, Brent was nice enough to walk in and step on my boots as he walked by me.
Right, but didn't you get chastised?
That never happens, right? Yes, I got chastised.
Right, you're a victim of a child predator, and you get chastised because he stepped on your foot.
Absolutely, it's the control effort that he has to try to make someone feel like a piece of crap is unbelievable. He still feels like his ego has never stopped. He doesn't run the show anymore. That's the sad thing. He thinks he's still got this in the bag. He really does.
So
wow.
He doesn't.
Somebody said they couldn't afford bond, but now he's driving a brand new truck.
Correct. And you have to understand that Donna McGee was the superintendent of that school system and was making, at the time of her retirement, base salary of $120,000 and then enough benefits of at least another $25,000 a year. And now she's on retirement. So she's getting a check based on the average of the last 3 years of her salary, is how it works in our teachers' retirement system. Brent McGee also gets a teacher's retirement. They have income for life, essentially. But they are facing a federal civil suit, and the civil suit involves two awesome young men who have been through hell with this abuse and what the town sort of pressed upon them after they came forward. But that civil suit has been put on hold pending the criminal trial, which is facing all kinds of delays. So justice is being delayed in 2 different courtrooms.
But my thing is why? Because you've heard, I mean, you had those 2 guys in Atlanta that were basically pimping out their sons. They have already, it's been out there. They've been convicted. They got their sent. They're already in jail. And that happened after this thing. So has anybody reached out to the FBI now that it's under Trump's control about this and let them know what's going on in that town there?
I haven't. No, I haven't.
Maybe we should do that as well.
Perhaps. Things are so complicated if you live in Eastern Oklahoma because of the McGirt decision that only the federal government and not the state government, but the tribal government can intervene in cases where the perpetrator has any tribal blood. But we're not dealing with that here. So it does fall to the local law enforcement, which is why the sheriff's department ultimately did the part of the investigation that they did, right? Which was really Casey bringing them survivors.
Right.
So that part of it, I'm not sure if they would. Unfortunately, we have an attorney general right now who very much has protected bad DAs or corrupted cases. So I'm not sure where that's going to go at the state level. I think public pressure, this DA in Hughes County will have to be reelected. And
that seems to be the only thing that works, just like when you got arrested. So again, the number's down below. I'm going to keep repeating this throughout this. The number's down below. Write it down. You call him tomorrow and you demand, why is the cell phone unlocked? Why is he allowed around? Why is he allowed around children still? Why is his house being remodeled and no search? That's the only way it's going to get done. They got to get a massive influx of calls from people.
I have a few more whys. First of all, the case was undercharged from the beginning. 7 counts is not nearly enough given what the 2 younger victims even have come forward with in the civil suit. His wife has never been charged for failure to protect, either in her home or as the superintendent of the school. They are facing a civil suit, but that's about money. She's never been criminally charged.
But she doesn't know anything. She's only been with Brent for 37 years.
And they don't sleep in the same bedroom. None of that.
No, not at all.
No red flags there.
No kids.
No kid. Yeah, no kids. No red flag.
So, and she's the one who put him off in a building by himself as the alternative education director.
So she's the Ghislaine Maxwell of Jeffrey Epstein. She's the handler.
Right.
Why haven't charges been brought up on the guy in his 30s? Well, Sheila, the funny thing is, and Casey can tell you, a lot of kids, when this happens, they don't want to talk about it because, there's, you're gay or you're this, you're that. They don't want to talk about it. I mean, Casey, you confronted him when you were a grown adult, and you're a big dude. You ain't small. And then when usually takes one person, and then the ball gets rolling, and you see all these other people coming forward now because of fear, like what Casey dealt with. Do you guys remember when he came on here and he was telling us he came out with this and you're a liar. McGee is loved. He owns the Dairy Queen, right? He's a coach. His wife's a superintendent. And that's why people don't come forward.
All they said was, well, he didn't do that to me. There's no way he did it to you.
Right.
And there's a lot more affected. There's people that have passed that can't give their word anymore. But I think Sheila's talking about Justin Coate, because Justin Coate, him being 33 now, Brent was actually buying photos from him through Dairy Queen money, but it's untraceable because, of course, Brent ain't going to write a check for that. But there
Right.
hasn't been any charges for Justin's side of his story, and that's really happened.
And why are there no charges brought up in his story? Just out of curiosity.
We don't
We
know.
haven't been told anything.
No one knows.
Is there a statute of limitations issue with him as
Shouldn't
well?
be.
Not to my knowledge.
And,
Not to
I
my
mean,
knowledge.
we know Brent is well versed in. I mean, there was a box of naked boys found underneath his bed by his wife. We know that in 95, 96, she asked Ryan Roberts, who is a survivor himself, who's 54, if he thought Brent was gay. It's not like she was hidden to all of this going on. She knew, and even Eric Marsh, he recorded Eric Marsh with the VHS. So, I mean, Eric Marsh is over age, and he can't tell his story now. I mean, he's out by the statute of limitations, but obviously he does this, and no electronics were taken. Like I said, there was 0 warrants, and he's lived in the same house ever since.
When's the court date? Is it October 3rd or is it after
October
that?
9th.
Mm-hmm.
October 9th. Okay, so Sheila has October 3rd, but it's I was going to say, because if it's October 3rd, I can't be there because I'm going to be in Utah.
It is
October 9th
October
at 1:30.
1:30 in the afternoon.
So what is it? October 3rd, starting at 8:30 a.m. at the Hughes County Courthouse. We are going to protest anyone that can come. We will be there. Is there something happening on the 3rd?
It sounds like there is. Sheila lives in Wetumpka, and it looks like they're also going to have a protest on October 3rd at 8:30. So that's good to know. Sounds like there's 2 possible dates.
What's happening?
It sounds.
Yeah, the 9th, we will be there. We will be there, Casey, on the 9th, David
Awesome.
and I. And Jim, well, you met Jim at my house when you came to my house. So we will be there
That'll be great.
with our bullhorns and whatever else we can do.
You'll be welcomed, I promise.
I'm sure we will by you, maybe not the other side.
There's
but
nobody on the other side. No one comes for Brent, not even his wife. It's Brent.
Well, then you know what? Maybe people need to stand out. Yeah, maybe people need to stand outside that Dairy Queen and let every parent that takes a kid there know, hey, that is a pedophile in there that you are subjecting your children to, who's out on bail right now, who's not supposed to be near children at that Dairy Queen right now. That's who you're taking your kids. Maybe we need to go out there and destroy that business so that he can't have it anymore.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it now. I believe now it's in his mom's name completely. But I'm sure he's filed taxes on it before recently.
So when I checked, it was actually the Dairy Queen was still in his mother's name, but his personal home was for sure in his name and his wife's name since 2004.
And they have a rental or 2.
Oh, and they have a rental. Mm-hmm. So.
Oh.
But also,
but they got their
rental. So they have their pensions and they have rental income, but they're indignant.
And a Dairy Queen income, yes.
But that's not his name. That's in his mother's name, which could be tax fraud, by the way. If the FBI got tipped off that he's doing that on purpose to avoid paying taxes, that's tax fraud. Just throwing things out there.
He happens probably to be at the casino every day too, from what I hear.
Well, he can't have
He doesn't have money, so he's at the casino.
Well, and I would just ask your viewers as well. When I was interviewing the younger victims who just great young men who were vilified by this town and are trying to get their lives started, I asked them, describe Wetumpka to me. And what they said, one said, and the other one nodded along, was Wetumpka is meth and pedophiles. So this is a dark place where children have been hurt. If you can come on the 9th and be there at the courthouse and pray for these young men, there's others out there that haven't come forward yet, and just pray for them to to come forward, because the support that I've seen in having the privilege of telling their stories between these men as they've come together on this, and the healing that I've seen, I would love to see that God bring that healing to every single one of them.
Well, not even that, but this happens in other places across the country too. And when guys like Casey and Justin, when they tell their stories and they tell you they have been vilified, but they're still fighting, that will embolden and encourage others who have been subject to something like this to come forward as well. It's just a shame that this guy, I mean, I can't understand how the cell phone isn't unlocked yet. I mean, he's got a quarter. He's violating a quarter. He should be in jail for, if me or you or Casey did something like that, we would be sitting in a jail cell right now until that phone was unlocked.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So Casey, share with them about, at the last hearing, what the reason for canceling and postponing the hearing was.
So the last court date we had, the judge had recused himself. I think the court date before that, it was pushed out about 90 or 91 days until the next court date. So we went to that court date, and we find out the day before the judge recused himself because he had represented Brent, possibly in Norman, because this judge is also an attorney in Norman.
Right.
And so he recused himself the day before the preliminary hearing the next day.
The day before.
The conflict of interest.
The day before, which is, as long as they can stretch it to delay as long as possible is what it feels like.
I mean, there was zero updated information on oscn.net. I mean, that's how soon that he did it. So when everybody showed up to court, they didn't get a hearing. They just got another, we're going to move the court date to this day. So the delay tactics and try to put doubt in the boys' eyes and hearts and minds and try to delay that, he thinks he's doing justice, but he's only making those two young men stronger and stronger every day. They're amazing guys and very godly, and they're ready. They've been ready to take this fight on. And he's messing up by delaying this as much as possible. It's going to come back and bite him in the ass.
Well, the thing is, eventually they're going to get into that phone, and it's obvious that there are things on there he does not want them to see. The phone is in the DA's possession, correct, or police possession?
Mm-hmm.
Lead investigator.
Okay, so but there's obviously stuff on there, and that'll sink them right there once they get it. And I think they probably know that too, and that's why they're delaying, because they know it's inevitable at some point. But like you said, delay. Well, let's just give a plea deal, not to drag these guys through court. And again, like I said, this reminds me a lot of the Josh Bell case, the Nickelodeon thing, where the pedophile only got a year in prison.
Yes.
Because he was a great guy who was loved by all the Hollywood actors, and he would never do this to him.
We saw one pretty close to Wetumpka in Shawnee, where a basketball coach named Ron Arthur. There were some conflicts of interest with judges. The case got moved to another district. Something happened behind the scenes where multiple victims, all male, where they ended up dropping the two larger sexual abuse charges and just leaving him with essentially digital communications over the phone, sexting kind of a charge. And he got a 5-year sentence instead of what he would have gotten. He'll be getting out any time now. So we see those things happen, and there's never really a valid explanation about why they dropped these charges. They just were able to hop it around districts for a little bit and delay some time, and they got away with it.
I can tell you why. Alfred Kinsey.
Do tell.
Pedophiles get light sentences because Alfred Kinsey, in his sexual study, said that children are sexual at birth. So before his study, pedophiles were locked away, and that was it. After a study, they said, well, maybe the kids are sexual. It's not really whatever, so it can't be that bad. So they started getting lighter and lighter sentences because of Alfred Kinsey, who was, I don't know if you know, Casey, I know you know, Katie, was a pervert homosexual himself.
He was a pedophile.
Yeah.
Doing research
And
on
he's the reason
children and
why.
sexuality.
And he's the reason why these guys get light sentences.
Well, it
Because
does
of him.
seem that between the conflicts of interest and the personal relationships in rural communities and other dynamics, like you're saying, that this has worked for them in the past. The thing that's kind of refreshing as a journalist is I do not see that that's going to work this time. This town is now engaged. They're ready to protect their children. Casey and these other men are showing up every time, and the crowd just keeps getting bigger. So,
oh yeah, what was the? And like I said, we're going to be there as well, because the thing is that, and I don't think the sheriff's involved now, but the fact that it took public pressure to get them to even arrest that guy, and then claim it was coincidental they were going to do it anyway. Well, maybe public pressure this time will get him to put him back in jail since he's violating his bond conditions. And if you guys can find out who the bondsman is, I would love to give that guy a call and have some emails go his way.
Well, I have two surety names on the bond. One's name is, I'm looking at the document right now. One of them is a Michael Mickey, and the other one is a Keith Irvin, Ervin. So Michael Mickey, spelled just like Mickey Mouse, and Keith Irvin, Ervin.
So Irvin Bail Bonds and Holdenville Finance is what it looks like. That one
211
is.
North Broadway, Holdenville is what it says on this. And then the other one, Michael Mickey, is at 310 North Wewoka Street in Wetumpka.
I'm going to add him as a friend.
Okay.
Actually, Facebook will not let me add him as a friend.
Okay.
You know, the kind of to go back a little bit, the guy that beat Brent out of the mayoral race in 2020, you know, he was molesting and trafficking a girl. And this is kind of what started this whole thing, is when he told me this story and he got beat by this guy in the mayoral race. Well, he ended up getting picked up by the FBI for doing what I just said. And here's a post that Brent McGee put on Facebook. He said, "Thanks to the FBI, Hughes County Sheriff Department, Wetumpka Police Department, Creek Nation Light Horse, and many others not mentioned, this piece of work is off the streets and out of our community. Let the healing begin. Prayers answered." April 14th, 2020.
So you can see why this town was blinded to what was really happening. And for your viewers, if they would like to read, we're probably 7 or 8 articles into this over the years. If they would like to read all of the articles about this, including Casey's story and Justin's story and the others that have come forward, you can go to V1SUT, just like behind me, .com. And if you just click on at the top bar, the series Wetumpka, you will get all of these articles, including what Casey just told you about it was Brent McGee, the mayor, running against this other gentleman for mayor, and turns out they're both pedophiles. So when the boys described Wetumpka to me as all pedophiles, they were pretty accurate. There's a lot going on here, and that could be a lot of reason for the cover up. There could be much more of this happening.
So I got a quick note. So as you can see, Michael Spradlin said, "We'll be there, Sheila. Just think I graduated there in 1988. I used to swim at that pool." So she says that pool. Brent McGee used to give private not swim lessons, but swim lessons through the whole town. They have a in-ground pool in their backyard. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the victims who have come forward all helped Brent McGee give swim lessons at that same pool. So
that pool isn't the town pool. That's the pool in his backyard.
In his backyard currently.
Oh, man.
And he was the only one in town with an in-ground pool giving swim lessons to the town kids. And 4 of the survivors helped all summer long give swim lessons. So, and he probably did that 15 years, if not longer. So think how many other boys there were that helped, that stayed at McGee's house and gave swim lessons.
That's what I'm saying. There's probably more that don't even live in Oklahoma anymore. They're out of this. There's probably more people that have been harmed by this guy that don't even know this is going on yet. Maybe they don't live in Oklahoma. Maybe they live, wherever. Or like Casey said, maybe some have passed. Some have even taken their own lives. We know that things like this make people drug addicts and, things like that. But Casey, I want to ask you a question because, you had said something earlier about people said, well, he didn't do it to me, so he couldn't have done it to you. Isn't there a particular type of kid that guys like McGee go for and why he does it to kids like you and not maybe this other kid over here? What was it about you and Justin and that made you guys a target?
Vulnerability. He sees a weakness in a kid that something's happened to, or sees a fight going on between child and parent, where the child living with grandma or the child living like I was. Like my mother was not an athlete and I played every sport. Well, my mom thought it was pretty cool that somebody would step in and say, I'll pick him up to practice. I'll take him to practice. I'll take him to school. Well, that allowed my mom to continue on doing her life where she didn't have to be sports minded. Like she was like, all right, well, he says his parents own the Dairy Queen. He says his parents Kiwanis. His parents have been married. He says he's got successful parents. He's taking Casey to OU football games. He's buying Casey clothes. Like he's just taking, and Brent had put that just of allowed my mother to trust automatically. And my mom kind of said, all right, because then after my freshman year, he moved across from me and my mom and got an apartment right across the street from me. So basically I ended up living with Brent all through high school. And he made it that simple and worked out a deal and just said, I'll step up and be the dad like you've never had. And coincidentally, he threw that in because he actually had the same birthday as my real father. My real father was a deadbeat. So
in other words,
he finds a way to creep in and show that he is a very trustworthy guy and to say, I've done this, look at this, look at this. And he's been with Donna since I was a freshman.
And Donna's his wife.
Donna's his wife currently, but she doesn't know anything.
Yeah. They never know anything, even though some of the stories are, taking pictures of the kids in the shower, watching them shower in their home, and she didn't know.
Well, okay. So wipe the slate clean. You don't know nothing. It comes out. You hear a video, an audio version of you saying that you molested this kid that was basically under your wing for years. Mm-hmm. You still don't leave the guy.
Right.
You argue and you say he's a liar instead of being like, maybe I should reach out to Casey and find out if he's telling the truth. Because this is a story. I mean, she supposedly used to love me and try to treat me like a mom, but she never did that. All she did was call me a liar to everybody in Wetumpka. So, but if she would have believed, if she didn't know, I mean, anybody in their right mind would have left their husband or wife to find out if they were cheating on them with adolescent kids.
I would think so.
I mean, hello. So husband and wife, been married 30 years and we're not having sex, but you're cheating on me with a teenage boy. I'm going to stay with you because you can be rehabilitated. Yeah. Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, sometimes it's easier to deny or pretend like it's not happening than to deal with the fact that I'm living with a man who's molesting kids in my house.
Maybe, but some of it
even
became extremely public at one of the football games. And in a place like Wetumpka, everyone goes to the football game. That is the entertainment of the season. And when one of the boys who was one of his victims became dysregulated, she came out of the stands to quiet him because he was disclosing out loud to the whole town. And he was not having it. And he screamed at her, several reports that I've heard, and called out that she absolutely knew.
So
wait, wasn't he interviewed by the FBI?
Yes. So it was senior night and his senior night for football. And he had given one statement. And of course, kids have a hard time of getting their story across because
Right.
it's just gross.
It's
And
so
it's hard for you to realize, and especially, I mean, I could barely do it at 45. I couldn't imagine being 18 years old in high school. And he got upset because he was taken off the field. And then so he started cussing because it was senior night. His family's in the crowd. Donna comes out of the stands and tries to calm him down. And then he yells at her, and excuse my French, he said, "Your fucking husband raped me." And still no investigation. It was just like a hush hush deal. You're kicked off the team now. You can't do that.
Local law enforcement was there.
Marcy Maxwell was actually, the sheriff was actually on the ambulance that night, and she heard what was going on. She was there.
So Sheila Armstrong said, Donna knew. I put it on the school website and demanded answers of why she let Brent back in the school to continue to victimize the kids, allowing him at school functions and games after the FBI told them.
Correct.
Yeah.
That is a big concern because the FBI showed up in August 9th of 2022 and said he needs to step down and stay away. And that is not what happened.
Well, so when the 4 FBI agents, so I recorded him for 3.5 hours, video and audio, on August 7th of 2022. 2 days later, 4 agents showed up at Wetumpka High School, spoke with the principal, Donna, and Brent. And Brent had to leave that day. Well, she allowed Brent, she never told the teachers what happened, and was told that they had a gag order and they couldn't talk about it. And so Brent was allowed at school. So not only was he harassing, bullying everybody, and still acting like he was untouchable, but he was roaming the school that whole entire year. And before the FBI investigation was up in June, the principal had put on Facebook, "Thank you, Brent McGee, and several other coaches for a great job at the track meet." And he wasn't even supposed to be there. So they think they're above the law just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And Sheila said that Donna blocked her from the school website. Just so Sheila knows, that's actually illegal. Because you remember when they said that Trump, being a government official and can't block the public. Well,
Right.
The school is also a government entity, and they can't block you either. So Sheila, I'd make a big stink about that because that's a violation of your rights. They can't block you.
Well, she has since retired, but if you're still blocked, yes, you should make a big stink because that's unlawful.
Correct. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So the blocking you tells me she knew.
Mm-hmm. And when you,
Well,
when you
100%
I mean,
sure.
she knew. I mean, come on, she knew.
well, and that she absolutely, the FBI told her to keep him away from the district and children. That is the definition of failure to protect, that you've been notified by law enforcement and you failed to keep those parameters and keep those kids safe from a known threat.
And you said that the FBI is no longer involved, correct?
No, they gave it to Hughes County.
Mm-hmm.
Handed it off to Hughes County.
Well, let's not forget who was the FBI was under at that time. It's different now.
It's true.
Maybe it'd be worth reaching out to them again to see, hey, now that Trump's in charge, see if we can tell them what's going on with the county. Again, we can all call them and email them. The FBI responds when they get lots of calls.
Absolutely. I'm even praying for the Attorney General's office. I believe something will happen there.
It's going to after tonight. It's going after tonight. The last time we did this, Casey, remember the sheriff got lit up and Brent was arrested the next day. And I already left a message. I can't. Facebook won't let me send a friend request to that bondsman, so I left a comment on one of his posts, and I said, hey, since your name is on Brent McGee's bond, why is he allowed near children when he's not supposed to be? I mean, your name's on that bond, so I'm just curious if you can answer that question. And I put that in a public comment, so let's see what he says.
Sheila even said she even threw him a retirement party at the school he was removed from celebrating him. Wow.
Oh man. Well, it's the safe face. This is all for public opinion. Like I said, again, I didn't grow up in a town where we had a Dairy Queen, things like that. But from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, but in small towns like that, the Dairy Queen is like the place to go. That's where everybody hangs out. That's like, the cool place. So McGee would be like, hey, this is where the kids go. This is where they hang out, right? I mean, is that the way it is there with that? Is that maybe why they're protecting him? Because, he's a good guy. He has the Dairy Queen. It's where all the kids go. I mean,
he gives them jobs. He gives them jobs at early ages and employs them and starts feeding them, and it's money to them. So there's no other really work around there. So he gets the less fortunate and takes advantage of that.
And this is what in public education and other places, what they need to start recognizing as red flags are people who are seeking access to children in all facets of their life and the community. That does not make them a good person. That makes it necessary for everyone to take a closer look. And he had access everywhere, from his home to the sports leagues and the sports teams and the school and the alternative education. He had full control of them through employment at the Dairy Queen. As mayor, he had access everywhere.
Well, wasn't it even, what was it, Shelley Rogers? She tried to speak up for her son and for truancy, and they had her thrown in jail.
Yes. So Shelley Rogers, her son Zach, was in alternative education, and he had lost his father. He was going through a lot, and Brent sort of came around them just like he came around you and your mom, saying as though he were helpful. Well, this kid gets put into alternative education during this shaky time in his life. And Brent is allowing him to leave and skip school, unbeknownst to his mother. But then she would show up and he would be working the concession stand after school at sporting events and things. So she assumed he was always there. She never knew that he was absent. But McGee, who gave kids lots of favors for the wrong reasons, was letting him leave. Well, an incident happened at the courthouse where she was up there about something else and either starting to catch on to these things or whatever. He actually had her worked with local law enforcement to have her arrested for excessive truancy of her child. And he's the one who had allowed the truancy. That being on her record, which was just completely false, actually continued to follow her, where she was fighting for access to her own grandchild, to have access to her own grandchild with the state involved, which is absurd. That's how much power and control he had. He could find a way to crush you if you came up against him with one or other apparatus in that town.
Well, clearly, look what's and the thing that worries me more, and Casey, you probably have this worry too, is he's probably walking around town, going to work like he ain't gonna touch me, which means that he's going to be emboldened to continue to do this. He might be doing it right now to other kids, because 100%. Why not? Why not?
I mean, he was just doing it up until 2 years ago. So, I mean, 35, 40 years of doing this.
Right. And do they think he's just going to, does anybody really think he's just going to stop now?
No.
Pedophiles don't stop. They, until they're dead, they don't stop.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Wood chipper.
Yeah.
I see some people agreeing with you. Yes, please at least try our new FBI and AG. I think it's a really good suggestion, Rich.
And ignore the trolls too on here, because just ignore them, because again, there's a lot of people watching. That's why I did it this format. This one gets more views, and I want this out as much as possible. So just ignore the trolls.
Always.
I ain't bothered by them. I was trolled when I came out with this. So
well, most of them protect people like Brent McGee, as we already know. So,
well,
but
hopefully not. But that's egregious.
Well, the thing is what? Because again, there's a lot of people watching that may not live in Oklahoma. Like I said, I'll be there. Jim will be there. Dave will be there. and I'm going to encourage those who follow us as a ministry, especially those who have never maybe street preached before. This might be a good one for you to come to get your feet wet, if you will, because nothing's going to happen to you there with Casey and them there. You really think they're going to put any one of us in jail for our speech with a circus like that in front of the court? I don't think so. Show up. You want to support victims of child abuse. You want to support guys like Casey who are trying to encourage other people to come forward. Now's your chance to do it. You want to spend some money to do something, then drive out there and stand up there to protect children. That's what, as Christians, what we should do, correct?
100%. And, for the ones that are on the bubble of coming out or not, the ones that have come out, the situation, we own the situation now. The situation doesn't own us.
Yep.
So we're not going to fall victim to some others that are no longer on this life that has allowed them to have this eat them up and become alcoholics and drink themselves to death. So if you're on the fence, if you had a drinking problem, if you had drug problems, you got kids, just understand, you will be believed. You will feel 100% better once you come out, and you're going to help save the town of Wetumpka, and you're going to save others, and you're going to save yourself. That's the number one thing you get to take from it. Because, I was a kid that was, looking back at it, I was in trouble with the law, couldn't stay at school, couldn't study school, played college football, played college soccer, not knowing at the time Brent was actually using me as a recruiting tool and bringing carload of boys up to soccer games. My mother didn't come to a game. I played college football and soccer. My mom didn't come to one college sport, but Brent did. Brent came up to college soccer. I quit soccer, so I went and played football. Brent brought carloads of guys to come watch me play football. He was using me as a recruiting tool. So if you've taught swim lessons with him, if you've been under his wing, he's used you as a recruiting tool. So everybody would look up to you and be just like you and think, man, they get to go to the games. They get special treatment. They get free Dairy Queen.
Mm-hmm.
And Brent will post you up and be like, man, look at this stud athlete. Look at how he is.
See, that right there is wrong too. What kind of man looks at a little boy and says, what a stud? Like that's right there. When I hear that coming out of some adult man's mouth, I know right away that's probably a pedophile. Nobody looks at a kid and says nobody uses the word stud in reference to children unless you're a pedophile. Nobody.
Well, here's the crazy thing is when all this started back and I was getting recordings and whatnot of him, first thing he's like, what's up, stud? I'm like, every time he'd talk to him, I'm like, you don't call a grown-ass man a stud. Like, you don't do that. Like,
you don't call a kid it either.
No, not at all. And all he does is try to boast him up and make him feel good, and just he works that grooming stage in. And then, like I said, he grooms the parents, he grooms the sisters, he grooms the brothers, he grooms the grandmas, he grooms them all. And so
Justin said Brent and Dunn are moving. Did you see that? Brent and Dunn are moving. They're trying to move to continue on what they have done for years. Did you guys know? Did you know that they were trying to move?
I knew the house was for sale.
I do know that they had 2 40-foot roll-offs in the front yard after the court date. So I applaud them. I would love for them to move to Norman. I do. They'll have to repay to move somewhere else.
But what I find really interesting about those roll-off dumpsters is after, that means there was stuff that because again, guys like him keep trophies, right? Pictures. That means there was probably a plethora of things that he had in that house, which means, and they'll get rid of a lot of it, but he's got something stashed somewhere else. Someone needs to find a safety deposit box, a storage unit, his name. He's got other stuff, so I'm willing to put my life on it that he's got other stuff somewhere.
And it's just really interesting that the sheriff's department had this for months, and then the DA, and so that's DA Eric Johnson, and his lead investigator is Doug Parker. They also had it. There's no evidence that even a warrant was ever filed to search any of those locations we talked about before those dumpsters moved in.
Huh.
I was told they couldn't get a warrant because it was on It was private property.
Yeah, it doesn't
But
work
if it
that
was
way.
public property, they don't need a warrant for public property.
Correct. And that's why you get a warrant, because it's private property.
Right. A judge, you have to show probable cause to enter someone's home, and a judge says yes, okay, because again, the police can't just go to your house.
Exactly.
So either the police are completely inept or they lied.
I think there are a lot of conflicts of interest here. That is, from the reports that I've gotten about the relationships between law enforcement and this couple, it's a tight-knit group, and I see this all the time in rural Oklahoma. The few people who consider themselves at the top protect each other fiercely.
Yeah, and now they're protecting. I mean, the thing is with a guy like with this, he's going to keep doing it because he's untouchable.
He has been, and that's what he acts like. And he goes around town and tries to act like that. But there's a lot of people that has really turned against the McGees, and I don't doubt that they're trying to move out. I mean, but justice needs to be served, and it needs to be served to the fullest. Not just Brent, not just Donna, but everybody else who was complicit with not coming forward and saying, hey, this isn't right. Why are young men staying the night at Brent's house night and night again? And when they would have parties, no girls were ever allowed. Ever. It was only boys' parties, and Donna would be there.
Well, I have committed, and I've said this to every single one of these survivors, to continue to write about this for as long as it takes. I've never written about a case this long, so it really is being dragged out. But I am committed to it. Encourage everybody to come on October 9th and support them, and put some public pressure on this, because the kids are at risk in that town. So thank you if you can.
And if you can't, you don't have the money or whatever, there are things that you can do. Like I said, the phone number for the DA is scrolling at the bottom. Write it down. Pause the video. Come back to it tomorrow, whatever. Make sure you write that number down. Call him, because pressure on him will get this done. Ask, the list of questions. 1, why is Brent McGee allowed around children when he is ordered not to? There are pictures and else. Why? Why is the cell phone not unlocked yet? It's a court order. Why are they letting this guy not on? I mean, he's court ordered. They could just grab his hand and stick his thumb on it, or whatever. I don't know if it's Face ID or whatever they got. Why, and why is this being slow? I think, Katie, you had a bunch of other questions to, ask people to ask too. Just remind them what that was again as well.
Yes. I mean, there are so many questions for the DA's office, and he's been unwilling. That office has been unwilling to talk to me since this started. I mean, we're going on years here. Why did they not collect evidence at all those locations, at this couple's home, at their business, at the school, at his alternative education building, within the locker room area that he had control over, where we know some of the abuse took place? Why did none of that happen? Did they request any warrants for that? We can't find those anywhere. Those would be really good questions. I would also start to ask about conflicts of interest. Is there some reason? Is there some relationship between someone in the DA's office and the McGees that's keeping them from doing their job appropriately and collecting this evidence? I would also ask about the charges. Why has he been undercharged? We know the number of victims, and we know their stories. The charges should be lengthy in this. There are some victims who are completely missing from the charges. Tell us why. Maybe there's a valid reason, but you owe it to the public to tell them why.
Like Justin.
Correct.
Right? Why is there no justice for him? Why does he have to live with this? And they just ignore his testimony. They're ignoring what, there's no statute of limitations to him yet, right?
No.
So are they trying to run the clock out?
It's a really good question. I see it a lot. I see this a lot with child sexual abuse in schools, where they are basically trying to run the clock out. That is a great question. You can ask the DA about those things. These victims, what is the statute of limitations here?
Well, I think it's a mix of, like, they really, they say it's 40. The day you turn 45 is the statute of limitations, but I've heard differently from the lead investigator. but it really didn't make sense to me. And it's just like what Justin said, Brent put Casey on a pedestal for me, then moved on to putting me on a pedestal for younger kids under me. So that's what Brent does as his MO, is he props one up and one will age out. Then it's time to move a new one in. And that's all he is doing, is putting one up. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, his MO also is he can have a group of friends all in the same, doing exactly what he wants to do. And the friends don't even know that it's happening to one another.
Yeah. Well, because who's going to talk about it, right? I mean, you were in that situation. Did you tell your friends it was happening to you? No.
Well, at the time, I really thought it was just being dudes and being stupid. And I was never really close to any uncles. And that's what he acted like, was a best friend / uncle that you could do cool shit to. And he really wanted you'd always drink. I mean, anytime he'd bring you to Weetown, you always drank Boone's Farm even when you went there. And you always ate you always got to eat Dairy Queen at 2:00 in the morning with your coach, and you could be tipsy, and he made it fun because it was like, wow, this is cool. I get to do this in Noble. And someone who puts you up on a pedestal and feeds you and makes you get to do cool. I mean, we outdrove the police one night. So drives fast in the car and talks highly of you, promotes you, brags about you. And then when it's time for you to go, you go. It's a repetitive motion. There's one after another. So yeah, there's only 7 that's kind of came out, but you're talking for the pedophile that he's been doing this for 40 years, there's probably 150 to 300 before they get caught. That's a serial pedophile. That's when they finally get caught, is in between about 150 and 300. That's
true. And that's by the time they get caught, and that's known victims. There's even more, there's probably more than that, especially with him. I mean, and by the way, if you're watching this, whether you watch it live with us or later on, if something this has happened to you, even in your past, let Casey be an example to you to speak up. If you want to tell your story, email Katie. Her email address is connect@v1sut.com. Do not be afraid, because the thing is, if you don't speak up, these guys continue to do it. Your voice, if it's happened to you, could stop them. So again, if you're watching this, if you're a victim of Brent McGee's and you haven't said something yet, reach out to Casey, reach out to Katie. Anywhere else in the country, if this happened to you in your town or it's happened to you, speak up. That's what Casey's here for, and Katie's here for, and that's why God has given me a platform to use to push these stories out to help.
Believe it or not, I bet I've had 30 to 35 people reach out to me and tell me their stories and get advice and tell me that they've never told anybody. And they went on, and there's been people added to certain cases that's helped a case because of my story, or just listening to some advice I've given. So you can reach me at CaseyYochum@gmail.com, or you can find me Casey Yochum on Facebook.
Casey, so it's CaseyYochum, right?
Yes, sir.
Let me put yours, and then we'll put Katie's in there too.
Great. Yep.
Because if there's one person that media-wise that you guys can all trust, it is Katie.
Thank
I
you.
promise you. And she will never put something out unless she triple, quadruple verifies something. So if she puts it out there, she has done her due diligence to make sure everything is on the up and up. You've had people come after you. You've been threatened with lawyers, and nobody's ever done anything because you've never told anything that wasn't true.
Tell the truth and prove it. And whenever I'm working with someone who's experienced something like this, and Casey can tell you, because I had the privilege to write his story, I put them in complete and total control. What they want included of their story and what they don't want included of their story. And they are my editor. Nothing goes out until they've seen it as many times as they need to. Right, Casey?
100%. Thank gosh.
Because that's the way to make it accurate. It's your story, and only you can tell me if I've got it 100% correct.
You know, and not
it
for nothing.
And it feels 100% better getting your story out there. No matter how hard it is, it's 20,000 times better once you get your story out.
And I'm going to brag on Katie for a second, just so you guys know. And I don't think she gets enough credit for the stuff that she does in Oklahoma as well. Because of her, I don't want to call it a blog. At this point, I don't think it's a blog anymore. We can't call it a blog anymore. Because of her reporting, Oklahoma is forever changed in a good way because of the things that she has done, not only for Casey, but even for me. You know, I believe part of the reason we won my case is because of Katie, because her reporting got Judge Vatclaw out of there. You know, so she has done more for the state of Oklahoma than probably anyone will ever realize. And she's going to do more for people like Casey and other victims and things like that by getting the story out there. And if Brent McGee spends the rest of life in prison, it's going to be number one because of Casey coming forward and Katie telling his story.
I appreciate that. You know, I'm super uncomfortable with compliments, but
I know that's why I did it.
I would say, God, I can do none of this. God working through me, my hands on the keyboard. So, thank you, though. I appreciate that. And you street preachers, I say every time something comes up and our worlds intersect and I write about you, people need to be more thankful because every American, no matter where you stand on faith, they are out there pushing the boundaries of free speech all the time. And that is a public service. They're testing that and making sure that those boundaries don't get retracted. And I've seen it, just like in the case they took all the way to the Supreme Court in Oklahoma and won. That is something that we need to do. We need to be testing those, particularly people of faith need to be testing those, or they will do things like file a protective order on you for reciting scripture, which is what happened to Rich. You will have to fight that all the way up. So I appreciate that. You guys do good work.
And what we all do because, you know, when it comes to Christianity and faith, and Casey, you're very much, you know, part of this too. Cause I don't think you've even started what you're going to do yet. Do
you want to hear a funny story about Casey?
Yes, I do.
When
I don't even know if I want to hear.
When I first spoke to him and he turned over to me, it was just an open book about this, which I was so appreciative of. And he turned over the recordings of himself, recording himself in his truck, talking to his abuser. I was so amazed at his composure. I mean, what that must take to talk about that situation with your perpetrator and control your emotions. I told him, man. I said, you should be law enforcement. You should be like a detective or something. And here we are full circle a couple of years later. And guess what Casey's doing?
Just remember, Casey, as a campus police officer, don't arrest guys like me for speech. I know you want them. Just
Not at all.
No. Oklahoma's pretty good about that stuff. But, you know, but like I said, you know, as Christians go, you know, it's funny because Katie was just looking up the court records and found my case, wrote about it. Then she got out there with, you know, because for reporting that, getting back, whatever. And then all of a sudden, all the people, and that's how she met Casey. It's funny how God works to bring everybody together.
That's it.
To bring this out.
I was actually going to touch on that. The neatest thing about this story is watching God and watch how it has come out in his time, his way. And if you don't think God has a sense of humor, you are absolutely wrong. Because when I started therapy, getting counseling for this, Brent McGee was so egotistical. You know, he rented a house off McGee Street in Norman. My therapist was off the same road on McGee Street when I started having counseling. I said, God, you're funny. This is great. This is how we're going to get over this. I got to turn on this street just like I was going to McGee's house for therapy. And I wouldn't be here today without it.
That's awesome.
Well, yeah. But is there anything else that we missed that people should know? Anything that's happening with this more than kind of what's been talked about already? Any things you guys want to stress to anybody watching?
Yes. Brent McGee's a pedophile.
Yeah,
Just
I
so
agree.
you know.
I
He's
agree.
a serial pedophile. He's not.
And he's being. It seems like he's being protected by, well, I guess everybody in the system.
Yes.
One would think so.
Yes. It appears
Small town politics.
The longer this goes on and the more the details come out about how it's been handled, it's hard not to suspect that.
So, Katie, without naming names, is there any whistleblowers at all within the system? No names that have reached out to you?
There are some who have given information, and there are citizens within Hughes County that have given information but are not prepared to come forward. There were also people within the school system who reached out but did not want to lose their livelihoods. And I always respect anonymity completely, 1000%. So I really appreciate that they trusted enough from the reporting to come to me. So there are very good people who are also very oppressed by the darkness and the corruption that is happening in Wetumpka and Hughes County. I would say, hang on. As they said, God has a sense of justice and truth prevails.
Well, God is also long suffering. Maybe he's giving these people time to repent and get right before he says, you know what? You've had enough time. Now it's time for me to get involved.
It's going to happen.
I'm just, it's possible. Because the thing is people can do this for so long, and who knows what else is going on within that cabal, if you will, that might come out later on too.
Correct.
Just saying.
Great.
See, Casey, you could have got something rolling here that you didn't even plan on. Oh, and by the way, Casey, I don't know if you noticed or not, but since you last saw me, I lost 70 pounds.
I could tell. Congratulations.
Katie saw me and she said, what'd you say, Katie? I look like I lost a whole other person or something like that.
No, I said, look, there's half of Rich.
Yeah. So I did that.
I was thinking it was Rich's brother. I'm like, wow, look at Rich now. Congratulations.
Yep.
You must have stopped eating your wife's food because it was awesome.
No, I stopped eating the pasta. But, no, she made dinner tonight for my daughter's birthday. And today's my daughter Lillian's birthday. So.
Oh, happy birthday. I love that.
But anyway, you guys, no matter what, whether you come or not, if you can come, please come October 9th. If you need accommodations for, if you need to stay overnight, let me know. We can get something done. If you need to stay, we can get rooms, house, whatever. I think it's important for a lot of us to be there, as many people as possible, because you want justice done when people want to kind of suppress the truth. Get a crowd out there and they realize, we can't keep this quiet anymore.
Right. And just to make sure everyone knows, that's October 9th at 1:30 is the hearing. It's at the Hughes County Courthouse, which is in Holdenville, Oklahoma. Holdenville,
sorry.
Oklahoma Courthouse. Yes.
And if you want to know any, reach out to me. You can reach out to me, admin at officialstreetpreachers.com. Again, let me go back here and put Casey and oh my gosh, there's so many comments to go through. There's Katie's address, email address, reach out to her. Again, connect at SUT.com. To make sure we get that address, make sure we get that time and date, write it down. Or you can reach out to Casey Yochum. Here's his email address down below at gmail.com. But if you really do want to protect children, you have an opportunity to do so right now. You have an opportunity to protect kids right here, right now. So if you say I'm too busy or whatever, I get it. But if you have the ability to do it, you need to come out there and support Casey and all the other victims, and not just for them, but every victim in the future too, because this is how victims come forward, is when they know they're supported and they know they can tell their story without people condemning them. The abuser is going to do that and his friends, but when they know there's people that will support them, this encourages others to come forward.
100%.
And Casey can attest to that. How many people come forward since you did your thing?
At least half a dozen.
Right.
I know half a dozen.
Isn't Justin one of them?
Mm-hmm.
Justin's one of them.
And Justin just left a really nice comment to you, Casey. He says, I'm proud of you, Casey. Thank you. I love you, brother. Thank you for believing and helping me deal with this daily.
100%. Brothers for life. I've got a few sons now, bonus sons that I talk to quite a bit. And it's the neatest thing in the world. I love them to death. And I'm just thankful that they didn't have to go through the anguish that I went through in my early 20s.
So there it is. But again, any last words before we let everybody go? You guys been on it for an hour. You guys been on it for an hour and a half. But just so you guys know, so far live, we've had 300 people watching. By the time we're done, it'll probably be a couple thousand.
Heck yeah.
After it's all done. So. See
you on October 9th.
Yes, you will.
And at the end of the day, God wins. I promise you. This is how we get it all together. Love you guys.
Amen. And we'll be on again in the future, I'm sure. Make sure you guys are watching because I will live stream from the courthouse on October 9th. Like I always do.
That'd be great.
Oh, I will. I promise you that. I will. Dave will have it going on several channels. Jim will. I will. Dave will. And I would encourage you, Casey, I stream too because you know what? Even if something, God forbid, happens and they take your phone, whatever, and they can't get it off of Facebook or YouTube because it's there, not on your phone. See?
Understood. We'll work together.
Yeah, and put the names out there too. The titles, descriptions, put Brent McGee, child abuser, D, all those names out there because that creates an SEO. So when anybody types it in, bam, that's what comes up in Google.
I like it.
So Katie can teach you all that stuff. She knows. Her articles come up now on Google too. So
they do.
Well, I will say that this, thanks to Katie, this has gone East Coast, West Coast. We're all over right now with this story.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, most people didn't even know who she was.
Nope.
She tried to keep her identity hidden, but we knew it wasn't going to last forever.
That's right. That's okay. God's timing.
So
you guys are amazing.
So are you, brother, and so are you, Katie. And we'll keep in touch. And Casey, I'll see you on the 9th, brother.
All right. See you guys.
I'll see you as well. If you need me for anything, Casey, you know my number.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks. Good night. Appreciate you.
You too.
All right. Bye.
All right. So there you have it, guys. Again, keep Casey in your prayers. Keep Kate in your prayers, please. They need it as they continue this fight in Oklahoma. You know, we're just a voice that puts us out there and amplifies what Casey has said. That's all we do here. And we just pray and be there for them. But again, I just want to reiterate, if you've been a victim of Brent McGee and you're watching, please come forward. Email Casey, email Katie. If you're not in Oklahoma and you've had this happen to you, again, do not be afraid to come forward. Tell your story. Reach out to Katie. She will talk to you. She will listen to you. She will put out there whatever you want, and she will hold back what you want her to hold back as well. I give you my word as a Christian, as a minister and evangelist, Katie is one of the most trustworthy people you will ever meet in your life. And, you know, you can talk to her if you don't feel like you can talk to anybody else. And again, the number is scrolling at the bottom. Eric Johnson, call him tomorrow, 405-379-5450, and demand answers as to why Brent McGee is allowed around children when he has a court ordered not to be allowed around them. Ask him why the cell phone's unlocked, why there was not an investigation done, why his house was allowed to be torn apart, remodeled, and without a search. Demand answers and demand justice for the victims of Brent McGee, who he has molested and abused for over 30 years. You guys have an opportunity to make a difference. You know, everybody wants to know, what can I do? What can I do? This is what you can do. Call the DA, demand answers, and don't let up. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you all. Again, we'll be out there with those guys October 9th. If you can be out there, please do everything you can to get out there. If you're in Oklahoma, you need to show up to the Hughes County Courthouse on October 9th. I'll be there. Kate will be there. Casey will be there. Other people will be there. This is how we get justice for victims. Peacefully, protesting, and using our voices that God gave us. Isaiah 58:1 tells us, lift up your voice like a trumpet. Do not hold back. Love you guys. God bless you guys. And I'll see you guys over the weekend from Salt Lake City.
Boast in sin, but he sees it all. Your prideful heart will be your fall.